Chapter 116, Whose seat are you carrying in your belly? This time, Fang Hao didn't use Zhang Jun's car. Instead, he left the hospital, took a bus for 2 yuan, and went straight home. Upon returning home, the children were also back, clamoring for Fang Hao to cook something delicious while each kissed one side of his face. Possibly due to pregnancy symptoms, Su Ro entered the kitchen and started retching. Fang Hao felt distressed and asked his wife to step aside. After dinner, seeing that his wife wasn't in good spirits, he asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" Sensing something was wrong, he took his wife's hand and checked her pulse. Suddenly, his fingers felt like they were shocked, and he recoiled, thinking it was an illusion. Trying again, he couldn't believe what he saw. He looked at his wife in disbelief, seeking confirmation. However, a mix of complex emotions overwhelmed him. Can one really diagnose this through pulse checking? Amazing. Seeing her husband's reaction, Su Ro was pleased. She took out the examination report from the maternity hospital. However, she didn't receive the joyous and celebratory response she expected from Fang Hao's subsequent words and actions. Instead, what she got was a cold 3-word sentence. Abort it. Su Ro was shocked and asked, "Why? This should have been during my vacation days. I drank alcohol, which could have an impact. The probability of abnormalities is high now. It's easy to abort at this stage." "Husband, I've checked. It's a low probability, and it won't be affected. I want to keep them. They are twins." "Husband, I want to keep them." "Keep them for what? My job is not stable." "Abort it. Don't we have several 100,000 in savings? That's not enough. Trust me, abort it." "Husband, why? What you're saying isn't a reason." "A reason? Do you need a reason? Can't you figure it out yourself?" Fang Hao was angry and slammed the door, entering the study. His wife was pregnant, with twins. Did he have to go through the shame of 4 years ago again? Calculating from the last time he got a paternity test for Yue Xia, it had been about a month. From the pregnancy cycle, it should be his seeds that took root during those days. However, his wife had also been with her lover. Out of the 7 days of the business trip, she spent 3 days with her adulterer. What might have happened during that time was clear even if he thought with his toes. The seeds in his wife's belly might be his, but they could also be her lover's. How could he let her give birth to such a child? Moreover, they were already heading for a divorce. If she got pregnant again and gave birth, how could they proceed with the divorce? He hadn't even found his wife's lover yet. On this side, his wife was pregnant, likely with the seed of her lover. The more he thought about it, the more he felt wretched. This life couldn't go on. He could no longer endure it. Divorce was a must. Not long after, the wife entered. She first made a calming gesture and said, "Husband, let's not get agitated. Let's talk, okay? We must abort the child. There's nothing to discuss." Fang Hao's tone remained forceful. "Why do you want to abort? Is it because you drank that day? Are you worried about deformities?" "Husband, there's a chance, but it's a small one. We can do a test during the pregnancy to check for abnormalities. If there is any, we can decide then. Making a hasty decision now is too rushed. I am a doctor, and I know more about this than you. In this matter, what I say goes." "Husband, you're being unreasonable again." The wife's face turned cold. She was dissatisfied but still restrained herself, saying, "Husband, can we talk calmly? Putting aside the child, I felt that you've had a misunderstanding about me recently." "A misunderstanding? Then explain to me. Why did you check my driving records and have someone follow me? What's the meaning behind all that? You did it to me first." "Husband, I haven't done anything to betray you. You shouldn't have investigated me." "Really? Haven't you done anything to betray me?" Fang Hao stared at his wife. "I really haven't." The wife responded without avoiding eye contact. She knew Fang Hao was intelligent, and even though he might have suspicions, she believed he didn't have concrete evidence. "Is that so? Then tell me, whose child is in your belly?" "Yours." "Really? Are you so sure? Is your lover not a man?" "Husband, I haven't." "Su Ro, do you really think you're the only clever person, and everyone else is a fool? Why do I investigate you?" "Because I know you have a man outside. Now tell me, who is he?" Fang Hao exploded in anger, but the wife still refused to admit. "Husband, I haven't." The wife looked at Fang Hao with wide eyes. From his expression, she could tell he was extremely angry and indignant. Her heart tightened, waiting to see Fang Hao's killer move. But in the end, Fang Hao let out a sigh, leaving her to speak for herself. A flash of insight crossed her mind. She thought her husband might not have any evidence, only suspicions. With a sudden boost of confidence, she continued to deny. Fang Hao, enraged, laughed sarcastically. Suro, you are a big liar. He ran his fingers through his hair, trying to calm himself, and said, abort the child, then let's get a divorce. Husband, why? I haven't done anything wrong to you. Don't leave me. If you don't divorce me, I'll give birth to this child for you. Please don't treat me like this. Suro approached, trying to hug Fang Hao. However, he pushed her away. Undeterred, she threw herself at him, even kneeling on the ground while tightly clinging to his thighs. Divorce? This child is not mine, it belongs to someone else. Whether you want to keep it or not has nothing to do with me. Fang Hao gritted his teeth. Today, it had to be settled. Otherwise, she would give birth to the seed of her lover. Wearing a green hat for 4 years wasn't enough. She was about to be considerate and put another one on him. This life couldn't go on. Husband, the child is yours. Impossible. Can you swear that during this time, you only slept with me? Can you swear you didn't sleep with your lover? Can you? Fang Hao shouted. This woman was still saying such things now. Did she think he was a fool? Husband, I haven't had a lover outside. I only have you. Husband, I've only been with you, not anyone else. Husband, I'm beautiful, and there are people pursuing me outside, but I've never wavered. I only love you. I only have you. Husband, if you don't believe me, I can die for you to see. Fine, then go die. Bitch, you think I don't know? Even if you force yourself to death, it won't change the fact that you're an unfaithful woman. You're a rotten woman. I feel nauseous just looking at you. Get lost. Godi. Damn it, you gave me a cuckold. Do you really think I'm a fool? I must have been blind to like a trash like you. Bitch, Godi. Oh, this is your house with your lover. I'm just an extra. I'm leaving. I won't hinder you and your lover. Fang Hao pushed away his wife on his feet and left directly. Chapter 117, Still Guarding Against Husband. Suro stepped forward, quickly embracing Fang Hao from behind, crying and refusing to let him leave. No matter how hard Fang Hao tried, she held on tightly. The children, witnessing this, had different reactions. Jia Jia came to the front, hugging Fang Hao's other leg, tears streaming down her face as she saw her mother cry. On the other hand, Tian Tian used her small fists to hit Fang Hao, shouting that he couldn't bully her mom. Bad daddy. You're bullying mommy, you bad daddy. This little rascal. Fang Hao sighed and, pushing aside his son, lifted his daughter. He wiped away her tears, feeling conflicted and heartbroken. He said, Jia Jia, don't cry. Daddy is not leaving. Daddy will stay at home. Jia Jia, still crying, said, Daddy, don't be angry. Don't leave mommy. Daddy won't leave. Daddy will be at home. Fang Hao sighed and spoke to Suro, let go, I'm not leaving. Let's talk. Suro still held on, not releasing Fang Hao. She buried her head in his back, crying for quite a while before finally letting go. Fang Hao's back was soaked with Suro's tears, but he remained as firm as steel, not allowing himself to be softened by her false tears. After the children's commotion, they soon fell asleep, especially Jia Jia, who slept almost instantly in Fang Hao's embrace. However, even when she slept, Jia Jia couldn't be separated from Fang Hao's hand. If he tried to let go, she would wake up and cry until she fell asleep completely. With the two children sound asleep, everything seemed normal. Fang Hao never expected that he would be stopped by these two little ones. Otherwise, once he left the house, he probably wouldn't come back, and this family would fall apart. As he got up, he found his wife blocking his way. He glanced at her and said, if I really want to leave, you can't stop me. Suro approached, wanting to kiss him, but Fang Hao turned his head. She tried to kiss his face and neck, but he remained unresponsive. She was about to cry again. Don't wake the children. Fang Hao glared at Suro, then walked to the bedroom. When his wife entered, he closed the door. Let's talk. Suro silently stood there. She said, husband, you can punish me however you want, but let's not get a divorce. This child is also yours, and I want to give birth to it for you. Husband, let's not get a divorce. Don't leave me. Fang Hao was angry, especially seeing Suro like this. He really wanted to slap her. He said, the red flag at home won't fall, while the colored flags flutter outside. Do you still want me to listen to you? Do you think I don't know about you and that scumbag? Do you want to give me another cuckold? Does it make you uncomfortable not to wear a green hat for me? Husband, I haven't. Suro denied, as she always did. She couldn't hold on much longer, but without solid evidence from Fang Hao or catching her in the act, she would never admit it. As Fang Hao said earlier, she wouldn't shed tears until she saw the coffin. She couldn't admit it unless the affair was completely exposed and she had no choice. Fang Hao said, "It seems you really won't tell me who that person is. If you like him so much, why not be with him? Why do you have to find me?" Husband, I haven't. I only love you. How can I make you believe me? I don't believe you. Fang Hao interrupted her. He ran his hands through his hair, trying to calm down. He said, "Are you afraid that if we divorce, I won't treat your mother? You don't need to worry. There are many experts and doctors across the country, especially in the field of heart disease. They are more authoritative than me. You just need to persuade your mother to go to the hospital for examination and treatment. She will recover. Who am I? Just an ordinary little doctor. You don't have to believe me. If you let me treat her, it will only delay her recovery. Husband, I love you. I only love you. That's why we won't get a divorce. I won't divorce you. Why did you get together with that old bastard then?" Husband, I haven't. Suro's heart trembled at the words old bastard. Her husband actually said that. It seemed he really knew a lot about her affairs. Anyway, as long as he didn't mention that person's name or provide direct evidence, I won't admit it. Absolutely not. If I admit it, my husband will definitely leave me. Suro firmly held on. She absolutely couldn't admit it. Fang Hao remained calm, looking at his wife. He knew she wouldn't admit it, even if she presented a paternity test for Yue Xia. She would only confess once he personally exposed that scoundrel with irrefutable evidence. He said, "If there's nothing, fine. It's not up to you to decide whether we get divorced or not. About the child. I want to keep the child. Do whatever you want. It's only been 2 or 3 weeks. At most a month. We can't do a thorough examination yet. By then, we'll confirm if he's mine or that man's. If he's not mine, you're in big trouble. Husband, this child is definitely yours. If not, I'll die right away to prove it." Suro actually felt relieved. The child must be Fang Hao's. In this period, only Fang Hao had entered the picture, not that other man. "Don't be so sure, otherwise, you might end up dead." Husband, I swear these 2 children are yours. What if they're not? They are, there's no what if. Really? You were away for 7 days, spending 3 with that scumbag. He wouldn't let you go? Husband, I haven't. Alright, I know what kind of person you are. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Even facing death, you'd remain stubborn. Suddenly, Fang Hao's phone rang. It was Fei calling. He frowned, tempted to hang up, but with the confrontation with his wife and her refusal to confess, he was getting anxious and even a bit dizzy. He needed to divert his attention. He answered, "It's me, what's wrong?" "Professor Zhou is having an attack now. Her face looks terrible." Fei sounded nervous, describing the situation hastily. "Okay, don't panic. Listen to me, while waiting for the ambulance, do this." Fang Hao told Suro that her mother was having an attack and then guided Fei on some first aid measures. Suro's face changed dramatically. Even though she was usually strong and smart, at this moment, facing her husband's revelation about a possible divorce and her mother's critical condition, she panicked like a young woman, on the verge of tears. "Wait for my news at home. I'm going to the hospital. Give me your car keys." "Oh." Suro quickly took out the car keys from her bag and handed them to Fang Hao. Since she found out Fang Hao had placed a voice recorder in her car last time, she had kept her car keys in her bag instead of the hallway, like before. Why am I still on guard against my husband? She felt a bit absent-minded, even a bit ashamed. She usually looked down on Fang Hao's profession, night shifts, low salary, and without significant promotion opportunities unless he worked for a decade or more. He might even never advance. However, at this moment, she had no choice but to rely on Fang Hao. Chapter 118, Mother-in-law admitted to the hospital. When Fang Hao arrived at Jiangdong University, the ambulance had already left, so he headed straight to the hospital. Lu Jing had not left yet, and Fang Hao called her to arrange a green channel in the hospital. When he arrived, his mother-in-law had received initial treatment, currently on N4, but conscious. In the VIP area, a private room. After reviewing the examination reports, including a hard X-ray, Fang Hao found the problem wasn't as severe as he had initially thought. He sent a message to his wife to reassure her. He discussed with Lu Jing and other doctors. It seemed like a clear case of heart problems, but the severity required further investigation. Once done, he entered the ward. He saw Fei Fei and other graduate students looking anxious, especially Fei Fei, whose eyes were swollen from crying. Fang Hao comforted them, assuring that his mother-in-law's condition wasn't severe. He asked them to go home and wait for further news. Once the nurse left, he approached the bed and said, "Mom, why did you go to the lab again?" Previously, his wife should have met his mother at their villa. There was no reason for her to be at the lab. Having a sudden idea, he decided to verify it. "You're risking your life for work. It's not worth it." "Oh, what happened to make you suddenly have an attack? Don't hide it from me. Considering my previous treatment, you shouldn't have had an attack unless it was a sharp stimulus." Fang Hao. His mother-in-law hesitated. "I heard from Fei Fei that you had an attack on the way back from the lab. Did you see someone?" "Xiaoro, I saw Xiaoro." "Impossible. Xiaoro is at home with me." Fang Hao raised an eyebrow and said, "What you saw was actually a student from your university's art school, named Yue Xia Huo. She has the same hairstyle as Xiaoro, a similar body shape, and even drives the same car. So, you might have mistaken her for Xiaoro." To make his mother-in-law believe him, he shook the car keys in his hand and initiated a video call with his wife, showing her worried and tearful face at home. After Fang Hao hung up the call, his mother-in-law said, "Could I really have seen it wrong? Mom, you did see it wrong. Can you mistake your own daughter? And by the way, Xiaoro is pregnant again, with twins. You're going to be a grandma again." Today, she went to the maternity hospital and had a severe bout of nausea while cooking dinner. "Really? Twins are good, hee hee." Hearing this good news, Fang Hao's mother-in-law completely relaxed. "What a load of crap. These twins might not even be mine." After soothing her, Fang Hao saw that his mother-in-law had fallen asleep, her vital signs stable. He went outside for a smoke. He called Jin Xiaojian and asked him to retrieve a segment of surveillance video. Jin Xiaojian, a computer science student at Jiangdong University, had no trouble accessing the school's surveillance video. Fang Hao's reason for requesting it seemed genuine. He wanted to see the video of his mother-in-law having an attack. The video arrived promptly. Fang Hao expected two possible reasons for his mother-in-law's attack. First, witnessing her daughter with a man who wasn't him, something a mother couldn't bear. Second, seeing the man as someone she knew, possibly of the same or older generation, being intimate with her daughter, a violation of ethics that she couldn't accept. Unfortunately, the man with Zhou Jiajia in the video was a young man with average looks. Fang Hao doubted if such a man could catch his wife's attention. He pondered for a moment, then saved the video. It might still be useful. About 20 minutes later, his wife arrived. She looked worried and pale. Not only was her marriage in crisis, but her mother also had a heart attack, threatening to overwhelm her. Fang Hao watched as his wife sat silently beside the hospital bed, choking back tears. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pity, especially since she was pregnant at this vulnerable moment, a time when a woman is most fragile in her life. Yet, he believed his wife brought this upon herself. A woman who cheats deserves no sympathy, only condemnation. After half an hour, Su Buiyuan, the father-in-law, finally arrived. He reeked of alcohol, and his complexion was a bit dismal. Others might attribute it to his age, but Fang Hao could tell Su Buiyuan had been indulging in some extracurricular activities again. After a good time, an older man's body couldn't recover as quickly with just a sip of water. Despite this, Su Buiyuan looked worried. He inquired with the doctors, even calling the former dean to have Zhoufan checked. Once they confirmed it was a heart problem but not immediately life-threatening, he finally relaxed. Throughout the day, many university professors and leaders, as well as relatives from the Zhou and Su families, came to express their sympathy. Even acquaintances like Han Yun and others who were close to Zhoufan visited later. Fang Hao once again witnessed the influential background of his wife's family, making him feel a bit out of place and even inferior. Among the visitors, only Han Yun asked Fang Hao about Zhoufan's condition. The others inquired with the former dean and others. After Han Yun spoke to Fang Hao, some relatives from the Zhou and Su families cast a few glances at him, recognizing him as a doctor. Otherwise, he might have been seen as just a son-in-law. Fang Hao didn't initiate conversations and stood aside. When everyone left, he asked his wife and father-in-law to go home, staying behind for the night. Unexpectedly, the nanny cousin-in-law also stayed. Fang Hao decided to take the resting bed, leaving the couch for the nanny. Fang Hao, find me a bed. Fang Hao, go get me a blanket. Fang Hao, keep an eye on things, I'm going to take a nap. The nanny cousin-in-law didn't treat herself as a nanny at all. She was ordering Fang Hao around as if he were a servant. Fang Hao completely ignored her, lying there pretending to doze off. If she wanted to complain, let her. If she found it cool enough on the couch, let her stay there. Hey, why are you sleeping? Get up quickly. After lying on the couch for a while and feeling uncomfortable, the nanny went to wake Fang Hao. But he pretended to be asleep, irritating her. She shouted loudly. Why are you making noise? Go back, we don't need you here. Woken up by the noise, Zhoufan was displeased, scolding the nanny. However, the nanny turned to Fang Hao and said, Fang Hao, did you hear that? She's talking about you. Get up for me. Zhoufan said, Han Yuqin, go back. Fang Hao stays. Do I need to say it a second time? Having driven the nanny away, Zhoufan said, it's quieter now. If you can't sleep, let's chat for a while. Fang Hao sat up. Chapter 119, Let my son-in-law perform the surgery. Zhoufan asked Fang Hao to place a pillow behind her back. She wanted him to turn off the cardiac monitor on the side, but Fang Hao ignored her, so she gave up. She said, while I can still talk, tell me, if I need surgery, how confident are you to perform it? I have no confidence. I cannot perform it, it goes against medical ethics and hospital regulations. Even if the patient is a family member, a surgeon won't operate. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to wield a scalpel on loved ones. Others I don't trust, but I trust you. I want to live, I don't want to die. She sighed and continued, before, I thought dying was no big deal, just an ordinary thing. But in that moment of unconsciousness just now, I thought of many things and realized there's much I haven't done. I'm still young, I don't want to die. Yes, you haven't retired yet. You can still contribute to the country. I've been telling you to cooperate with the treatment. You were disobedient, arguing with me. Now that you realize life is valuable, it's not too late. Fang Hao spoke frankly, showing no courtesy. Happily, Zhoufan said, since you said that, I know I can't die early. Otherwise, how can I argue with you, you country bumpkin? You've been busy all day, go get some sleep. She was satisfied. If Fang Hao had yielded to her every whim, it would mean she was beyond help. But since Fang Hao's tone was still the same as before, it meant there was still hope. She found it strange. Despite looking down on Fang Hao, she wanted to hear him say her illness could be treated and that she would recover. Perhaps this was the trust a true doctor could instill in a patient. As for discussing her daughter's situation with Fang Hao again, hearing that her daughter was pregnant with twins made her daughter's life at least a bit more settled. Now, Fang Hao needed to focus on treating her, so there was no need to linger on the private affairs of their children. The next day, her daughter arrived early, bringing breakfast for Fang Hao and her mother. Judging by her eye bags and complexion, she probably didn't rest well last night. Fang Hao asked, why are you here so early? Where are the little ones? I asked sisterly to help take care of them. With Xia Huo around, it's fine. His wife spoke with a gentle voice, lacking a bit of confidence when looking at Fang Hao. In terms of taking care of the children, she was not as good as Fang Hao. Fang Hao didn't say much. Shortly after, he received a video call from Rui Li, seeing the two little ones who called him Dad. They obediently carried their school bags to kindergarten. Wife, you've worked hard. Seeing Fang Hao going out to the safe corridor for a smoke, his wife followed. I know what you want to say. I know about your affairs. I'm sorry for what's mine, but it has nothing to do with your mom. In these 4 years, even though your mom looked down on me as a country bumpkin, she never mistreated me. She might talk tough, but deep down, she cares. I hope she gets better. Husband, with my mom's condition, we need to run back and forth to the hospital. Let's ask your parents to come and help take care of the children. Oh, you didn't like them coming over before, right? Why do you want them to come now? Forget it, call them if you want. They'll only come if they get your permission. Husband, I didn't mean that. Do whatever you want. No need to ask for my opinion. This is not the place to discuss these matters. Oh, there will be a specialist consultation later, and as family members, you need to be present. Fang Hao took a few puffs and extinguished the cigarette. This was mainly due to professional ethics. Regardless of whose child his wife was carrying, she was now pregnant. Smoking in front of a pregnant woman reflected poorly on his character. In the morning, Su Buiyuan and Zhou Fen's brothers all came. They visited Zhou Fen and waited for the hospital's conclusion. Indeed, after all the test results were available, thanks to the expedited process, a meeting was called with Zhou Fen's family and the hospital experts to discuss the treatment plan. Su Buiyuan and the Zhou family sat in the first row, the main decision-makers among the family members. Fang Hao and his wife sat in the second row. After entering the meeting room, Fang Hao just looked at the examination reports, lost in thought. Out of habit as a doctor, he was still trying to form a treatment plan. Surgery was required, and the difficulty was not low. Fang Hao sighed inwardly. From the hospital side, the former dean, Gong Yidao, Lu Yu, and several other directors, experts, and doctors, the strongest treatment force in the hospital, were all present. The former dean briefed on the situation, outlined a few treatment plans, but when it came to the surgical part, her confidence wavered. She looked at the chief surgeon, Gong Yidao, who also hesitated to respond, furrowing his brow. She knew that for this surgery, Gong Yidao dared not take the scalpel. Su Buiyuan said, "Since surgery is needed, then let's do it." "Xiao Jin, how confident are you?" The former dean's name was Yang Wenjin. She replied, "I haven't performed this type of heart surgery in 3 years, so asking me to do it now, I wouldn't have more than a 30% chance of success. Besides, my relationship with Zhou Fen doesn't make it suitable for me to perform the surgery." She glanced at Gong Yidao. 60%, Gong Yidao said concisely. "No 100%? Su Buiyuan and the Zhou family members all frowned. It turned out there was a 40% chance of death for this surgery. The severity of the condition exceeded their imagination. Su Buiyuan asked, "Is there a better option domestically? What about Huang Yidao from Peking Union Medical College Hospital?" Gong Yidao replied, "With him performing at a superlative level, he might have an additional 10% chance compared to me." He hesitated and wanted to tell Su Buiyuan that Huang Yidao had a mishap in a case yesterday. If approached now, Huang Yidao would likely decline. The discussion on the condition stalled at the surgical plan. The hospital side had no confidence, leaving the matter unresolved. Fang Hao didn't rush to leave, he stayed behind and reviewed the X-ray images again. He thought for a moment, then asked the imaging department to send over a few more pictures. Usually, during examinations, multiple images are taken, and the best one is selected for the doctor's review. However, what Fang Hao considered the best wasn't necessarily the one with the clearest image but the one that showed the affected area most clearly. After reviewing them, he still felt dissatisfied. When they performed the second round of imaging to pinpoint the location for Zhou Fen, he went in to get an even clearer view of the positioning. At 3 in the afternoon, they reconvened for another expert meeting. The condition hadn't worsened, but it hadn't improved either. The conclusions drawn by the hospital administrators were the same as in the morning. Now, the challenge lay with Su Buiyuan. If they opted for surgery, there was only a 60% chance of success. Considering the recovery post-surgery, the patient had only a 50% chance of ultimately surviving. If they chose conservative treatment, they could at least hold on for 3 more years. Just then, Su Ro received a video call from her mother. Following her mother's instructions, she cast the video onto the big screen. Sitting by the bedside, her mother, in a calm and composed manner, said, "For this surgery, let Fang Hao do it." Chapter 120, Looking Down on Rural Folks. "I want Fang Hao to perform this surgery." Zhou Fen's words instantly silenced the room. Fang Hao's wife's hand holding the phone trembled, and she looked at Fang Hao beside her. Fang Hao remained calm, not in a hurry to speak, even though everyone's gaze was now on him. "Nonsense. Fang Hao has never performed surgery, he can't do it," Su Buiyuan directly vetoed, prompting Su Ro to end the video call. "Su Buiyuan, are you trying to anger me? It's my illness, and I have the final say. Fang Hao, you listen, tell me, if I ask you to do the surgery, are you willing?" In the video, the mother-in-law confronted Su Buiyuan and then turned her attention to Fang Hao. Fang Hao immediately noticed the warning glances from Su Buiyuan and others. He frowned, looked at the phone his wife handed him, and locked eyes with his mother-in-law across the distance. He said, "I have nothing to fear." His mother-in-law asked, "How confident are you?" If I say 100%, would you believe it? I believe. Then it's you who will do it. Good, but I'm not the decision maker here. Su Buiyuan, manage your own affairs. My illness doesn't need your concern. Yang Wenjin, I don't know your capabilities. Relying on you alone won't cure me. Zhou Xiang, you are clueless, don't give me suggestions. Zhou Su, the same goes for you. None of you are reliable. I don't believe in any of you. The mother-in-law immediately turned the accusations towards Su Buiyuan and others. Fang Hao was slightly surprised, aware that there were complicated emotions among the older generation. However, it had nothing to do with him. He maintained a calm expression, quietly listening. Nonsense. Su Buiyuan was angry and directly left his seat. The Zhou family members also left. The expert consultation ended without reaching a conclusion again. The former dean, Yang Wenjin, and others scrutinized Fang Hao, their expressions unfriendly. Fang Hao shrugged and said, my mom is like this. She doesn't like me and enjoys using me as a punching bag. My dad will convince her. Lu Yu said, maybe, Fang Hao, I still believe in your medical skills. She would have added, but I don't know if you've performed this kind of surgery. Lu Jing furrowed her brows but said, Fang Hao, let's talk separately later. The former dean said, don't be foolish, Fang Hao. You haven't performed this type of surgery at all. It's too risky. Moreover, Zhou Fen is your mother-in-law, which goes against the regulations and is ethically unacceptable. In my hospital, it's even more forbidden. Fang Hao said, I know, so my dad will convince my mom. In the corridor outside, his wife pulled Fang Hao aside and asked, why would my mom want you to do the surgery? Fang Hao said, I don't know. Last night, I thought she was joking. I didn't expect her to be serious. I explained the medical ethics and risks of self-surgery to her, but as you saw, she's determined. Husband. Fang Hao looked at his wife and said, no need to hide anything. Are you worried I'm seeking revenge? That's not the case. I still have to rely on this skill for my livelihood. Besides my medical skills, I have nothing else. Husband, I'll always be with you. Why say such things? You're just a fraud. Fang Hao waved his hand and walked towards the elevator where Lu Yu and Lu Jing were waiting. As a patient's family member and a son-in-law, he couldn't go far. He found an office on the next floor to analyze the medical situation. Lu Jing originally wanted Fang Hao to discuss the plan, but she changed her mind at the last minute. She said, I feel that the relationship between you and your mother-in-law is a bit unusual. You don't treat her as your mother-in-law, and she doesn't see you as a son-in-law. Why is that? It's a strange feeling, and I don't know why I'm asking you this. You can say it if you want, and if you can't, just consider I never asked. Fang Hao said, actually, it's nothing special. I come from a rural background, a simple family, and as you can see, my mother-in-law is not simple at all. She doesn't like me, she sees me as a country bumpkin. I saw through her coronary heart disease. During this period, I've been treating her with conservative traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. If there are no sudden accidents, her condition should improve. So, our relationship is more like that of a treating doctor and a patient. She should trust me more now. Lu Jing shook her head and said, no wonder. By the way, your mother-in-law has quite the temper, confronting the dean and others in front of so many people. Fang Hao said, she's a math professor, living in her own world for a long time. That's her temperament. She talks tough but has a soft heart. I've been her target for 4 years, so I know her temperament. But she's not good at not being biased and labeling people incorrectly. If needed, I can be your surgical assistant. Director, do you think I should perform the surgery? For this patient, can you choose? It seems. I can't. I had bad luck, I always encounter challenging cases. Fang Hao smiled bitterly. But you persist. Those who can't bring you down will only make you stronger. Don't feel pressured. In the hospital room. After looking at Su Buiyuan and others, Zhou Fen said, all right, stop wandering around here. Go home. I'll have surgery, and once I'm cured, I'll be discharged. Su Buiyuan said, if you were okay, would we be here? You're not obedient, delaying your own health. Now, we're trying to find a way to help you. Zhou Fen said, enough. What way can you think of? Are any of you doctors? You're doing all sorts of irrelevant things. Let Fang Hao do it, he's the professional. Only Fang Hao can cure my illness, and I believe in him. Su Buiyuan said, Fang Hao is a doctor, but he's a junior doctor. He doesn't know anything. Huh, is that what you think? Find someone more skilled than him to argue with him. Ask Yang Wenjin if she dares to argue with Fang Hao on professional matters. But he can't perform surgery on his own mother. Can you ask him? Suro, come here. Mom, I'm here. What's wrong? What do you want to say? You and Fang Hao divorce. Mom, what nonsense are you talking about? It's just a fake divorce. Why are you panicking? After the divorce, Fang Hao won't be my son-in-law anymore, and we won't have any relationship. This way, he can perform surgery on me and treat me. Nonsense. Su Buiyuan shouted, it's already this time, and you're joking with us? Am I joking? It's you who joked with me first. I could die at any moment now, but I don't want to die. Find someone who can cure me. You say it's not possible, and others say it's not possible. Aren't you all joking with my life? Zhou waved her hand and said, I've already talked to the lawyer and signed an agreement. For this surgery, only Fang Hao can do it. Whoever tries to stop me, I'll cut ties with them. Damn it, it's my life, and I can't even control it. You? Su Buiyuan was scolded and had no way to deal with it. Others were the same. They couldn't argue with Zhou Fen. Zhou Fen was a university math professor, intelligent since childhood, and had a stubborn personality. Once she decided something, even if it was capricious, she would stick to it. Su Buiyuan angrily went out and ordered someone to find Fang Hao. He couldn't cure Zhou Fen, but could he not even handle a small son-in-law?